Welcome to Photo Op, the podcast where we talk about all things photo and video. I'm Ben Lucas.
And I'm Stuart Marlantis.
And this is Photo. So today we are going to start with a listener question. This question comes from Karina, who's done a previous question. So thank you, Karina. The question is, how do you think you would price this? I just haven't done a job as big as this, but definitely doable. And then below is a partial email. I work at a nonprofit organization. We would like to get headshots for our 21 staff members and a group shot for the website. Thank you. Thank you for the question, Karina. We have two different thoughts to answer your question. I'm going to start with the bare bones of what you actually asked in the question. How do you charge for it? And I'm going to make up some numbers because these numbers are going to vary wildly, which we will get to in part 2 of this question. But the numbers that I'm going to work, and it also depends on like your experience and everything. But I'm just going to say, let's say, you need to figure out your cost of doing business, and you need to charge more than that, essentially, once you have figured out what your cost is. So let's just say you need to get $1,000 for the day, for the job, just based on how many hours of work it will take you, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just kind of the assumption I'm going to work on. Thing number one is you could say my day rate is $1,000 plus travel or whatever. Boom, done. Another way you could do it is my discounted rate for groups over this many people is $50 a head. 50 times 20 is $1,000. So, hey, look how that math turned out. But then when they say, oh, we forgot Sandra in accounting, well, now you just made an extra $50 for a few minutes worth of work. So that is one way you could handle it. But the other part of the equation is what is the value that you are bringing to them? So just because they say it is a nonprofit does not actually mean that they're on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, you need to be careful with nonprofits.
Like Salvation Army is a nonprofit and they made $4 billion last year. So let's just cool the jets on that one.
Yeah, nonprofits can have big budgets, including big budgets for marketing and media services. Just because they say the words nonprofit doesn't mean that they don't have money to pay you and potentially large quantities of it.
Yes. So I would say that there is a huge difference between this is your local community mom and pop shop nonprofit that is genuinely, running on a shoestring budget and trying to help out. Well, what you need to do is you need to charge at least your minimum, maybe a little bit more. But so that $1,000, maybe that is what it charges. But if they are one branch of a much larger organization, and this is going to be like a nationwide media campaign for those 21 people for this chapter, well, now's when you get into value pricing. The value that they are going to get from your service far exceeds that tiny $1,000. So maybe that's where you either up your hourly or your day rate, or you add on some kind of a licensing fee.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell them what your original numbers are. If you want to say this is my discounted rate for nonprofits, that can totally be like your normal rate. Like, what are they? How are they going to know, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to take certainly take care of yourself. I would say that the only addition that I have to that is, if it's some smaller, mom and pop kind of place, if it's a place that you really believe in, I have done a huge amount of volunteering for the Seattle Aquarium, not photography, but I've done a huge amount of volunteering there. And even if you paid me minimum wage, we're well into like the 5-figure amount of money that I've provided, because I really believe in that message. That I feel like is the only time when you should consider like working truly for free, or really working for negative value, because you're impacting your equipment, you're impacting you're devaluing things,
or even at a large discount, where
even
you
a large
are
discount.
Turning away other work to be able to take that onto your work.
You need to really believe, if you're going to do something like that, don't make that decision willy-nilly just because they're a nonprofit. And I would hope that even a small nonprofit, you could say like, hey, my gear has wear, stuff is devalued, can you at least cover my costs? And if they're an upstanding nonprofit, I feel like they should be okay with that. And maybe you can use that to gauge like how much you're willing to give them of a discount.
Yeah. Which leads in perfectly to this week's episode. Should you give friends and family a discount?
Maybe.
Maybe question mark. Well, that is what we are going to be talking about today. So, Karina, thank you for the question. If anyone else, if you want to send in your questions, where can they send their questions?
hello@photo-op.show.
Perfect.
I just renewed that domain the other day, so
Yeah, there you go.
please use it.
Perfect. And if you would like to put the tip jar in so that we can continue to, have that domain and keep the mics and lights on, you can donate to our Patreon, which is actually my Patreon, patreon.com/nomcreative. There is a podcast tip jar, and that podcast tip jar goes towards our basic podcasting costs. So thank you. We have a couple of patrons, but we would love to get more.
For sure.
There you go. All right. So, should you offer friends and family a discount? What do you think?
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe ? It depends. It depends on your. The biggest thing to me is it depends on your relationship to them, and that's probably going far too into the weeds too quickly. But yeah, there are probably a few different approaches that you could take to a friends and family discount. What do you think? Like, where would you start with that?
So I kind of feel like there's like 3 different levels. So level number 1 is just no. No friends and family discount, because there was a photographer that I follow who said this very, very well. He's a wedding photographer, and they said, well, can I get a friends and family discount? And he said, well, if I gave you a 50% discount, does that mean that I do 50% of the work? Would you like me to be present for 50% of your wedding? Like, would you like 50% as good photos of just like, I'm doing this and this needs to get paid for somehow? Because if you're not paying for it, I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
So no, there's no discount, because you are going to get the same absolutely amazing products that all of my clients get. Now, there is something to be said for, that triangle, fast, good, cheap, pick 2. Whenever I do TFP work, my standards do not get lower when I'm working for free. And then the price is obviously dirt cheap. Well, what that means is now they get pushed to the back of the line, where I actually just finished up a print order from a thing I did 12 months ago. I mean, it was a ginormous project and a huge, huge print order, but that's because it was free.
Yeah. And that's fair enough. You have to prioritize, putting food on the table, so to speak. Like, you have to do that.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So that's the first thing. The first thing I would say is just like no. The second thing that I would say is you need to have a standard discount. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you 2 examples. So the first one is with my wedding packages. I price all of my wedding packages so that when you go to a wedding show and you get, let's say, a $300 discount, my wedding packages are the price that I want them to be plus $300. So it's kind of like when I worked at Eddie Bauer fresh out of college. Like, anyone who walked in without a 30% discount, I'm like, you're crazy. They offer 30% discount literally all the time. Why would you ever pay full price for this? So there's something like that. People feel good about getting a discount.
You build in that margin, even though to you, ultimately, like, you're happy kind of either way.
Right.
But they are extra happy because they got a discount.
So the way that I build my prices are, I kind of have this baseline of the amount of money that I need to make for a wedding. And then there's that extra. Well, people still have to pay that full price. It's not like I just magically be like, no, I like you, I'll give you a discount. It's that full price. That discount gets given when you book at a wedding show, which is a very time-limited opportunity. That discount gets booked when you come through a vendor referral from one of the wedding coordinators that I work with. Because wedding coordinators, their thing is, I know people, I will give you, I am going to earn my money back in the amount of discounts that I get you from these things, which should be how it works. So the coordinators that I partner with, they get that wedding show discount for their clients anytime, which makes them happy, makes the clients happy, and guess what? They send me work. And then if, brother, sister, cousin, or whatever says, hey, friends and family discount, I already have that wedding show discount in my back pocket that I can pull out and be like, it's not wedding show, but like, yeah, I can give you that wedding show discount. So then they feel good, like they're getting something, and you're not getting shorted.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the great thing, you already have that built in. There's already an expectation. You're already using that extra margin to sort of pay for marketing. So,
yeah.
you know that you can handle that.
The flip side of that is, rather than lowering the amount of money you get paid, something that gets you more money in the long run is what is something that does not cost you a lot, but is valuable to them that you can add on for free. Mm-hmm. So rather than, let's say wedding collection is $3,000, rather than saying, oh, I'll give you money off. No, the wedding collection is still $3,000, but I can give you a free hour. Mm-hmm. I can give you 2 free hours, or I can give you a free brag book, which costs me a few dollars. I sell it for like $150. That is extra added value.
For sure.
So those are some other ways that you can do it.
Little fun gifts.
yeah, little fun gifts. So tier number 1 is just no. Tier number 2 would be yes, but, and it's kind of, there is a standardized discount. You don't get more than that standardized discount because that's not fair to you. That's not fair to me. Whenever I have worked for less than that because I thought that I was doing something for someone, it has always bit me in the ass. Like, do you have?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have done that at some point.
Yeah. So I try to increasingly not work for free and for a discount anymore. And part of the reason for that is being taken advantage of. If you don't set very good barriers and standards from the get-go, people can keep taking and keep taking. And because you've never said no to certain things, it's even harder once kind of the ball is rolling to then cut them off. And I find that it's easier for me just to set that standard from the beginning and say, we're going to do X, maybe Y, maybe Z thing, and that's it. And I'm not going to do any more than that. Otherwise, you go back and roll back into the A, B, C, D, E, F, G things.
Absolutely. So I'll start by giving you kind of my level 3, and then I definitely want to talk about, no matter what level you fall on, we have some tips for kind of how to make this not bite you in the butt. Mm-hmm. So level 3 is, if there was anyone that is so in your inner circle that you owe them a kidney. My preference is the discount is pay what you want. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you are still getting this has to be a person who is so close to you, you would be willing to do it for $0 and happy to provide this to them.
Yeah.
But by doing the pay what you want, there are some people that are like, if they need a headshot for work because they're unemployed and they're in a tough spot, and I would do it for free, pay what you want. Maybe that person gives me like $20, which is nothing compared to my normal headshot rate. But hey, I just got $20. They paid for lunch.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And there are going to be when I did headshots for my brother, I said, you know what? I will show up. I will shoot your 20-something employees. Pay what you want. And he gave me a few $100s. So it's less than I would charge, an accounting firm for shooting the whole thing, but it's still definitely more than the amount that I needed to make that day to like pull out my camera and make it all worth it, which is great, because the people that I love and the people that love me, they want me to succeed and they want to pay me money.
And you'd be surprised, like some people will, like, you'll say pay what you want or can, and they'll pay you equal to your rate or more.
I was about to bring that up. When you say pay what you want, I actually did Christmas photos for someone this year when I said pay what you want, and they gave me $100 more than my standard rate. Mm-hmm. Which, like, you've got a job and you're happy with that, and you're happy to pay that. I'm not going to say no. Everyone in this situation is happy. I provided them a service. They got what they believe to be good value, and everyone is happy at the table. Like,
for sure.
That's a pretty good way to do it.
And that's like the ultimate result.
Yeah. So
everybody's happy.
So sometimes everyone's happy. Essentially, you should never, ever discount yourself to the point where you are going to grudge or regret or kind of create ill will towards whoever it is that you're helping.
Yeah.
And so we have some tips now to prevent that from happening if you are giving them a discount. Do you have any tips for kind of communication or ways to?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much the first thing is communicate, especially in writing.
Very good point.
Yeah, this is something that has stung me so many times. It's just kind of, we're just kind of talking, and there's sort of things that are said, but nobody ever has anything written down as to what was actually agreed on, and then it just kind of spirals out of control. And so if you have something in writing that you can say like, hey, you know what? Like, I only have time to do this. We agreed to this. Here's the email that said, or the message that said that we're only going to do this. Then you can point to that, and then it kind of externalizes the problem. Then it's not you being unreasonable. It's like, hey, we both agreed to this thing. We should all proceed with what that agreement was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I can think of 2 times where I did stuff for free for people, and it has totally just bit me in the ass because stuff was not written down and crystal clear, and it was more handshake and not contract. And even if you're doing stuff for free, I really believe that you should have some sort of written contract, even if it's just a 1 page of just like, hey, we both agreed to this. It doesn't have to be something crazy fancy. Like if you have a contract, please have a contract. Use that, modify it however you need to. But really, it is setting clear boundaries and expectations. So the 2 things I can think of, I did a music video for a nonprofit back like when I was in college. And it was just kind of a handshake, like, I need a portfolio piece and you need a music video. Great, let's do this. And then the scope of work after I agreed to it scaled drastically. And then they weren't happy with it, and they kept asking for more and more and more and more. And when I agreed to it, it was great. I'll shoot it for free, but I get creative control over the end product. And then I did not get creative control over the end product. And a bunch of the artists that were supposed to be in the video never showed up to the shoot. And they had their own people who were not good at all, just like send me a bunch of footage that I had to intercut with mine. And it was just a hot mess.
It is weird how sometimes the people that like pay you nothing or like the lowest amounts of money have the highest standards. And I don't necessarily say that they have I'm, for those listening on the podcast, I'm making finger quotes. I don't say standards as in their standards are genuinely like something to aspire to. I mean, like, they're nitpicky about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it is that 80% of your time will be taken up by the people who pay you like 20% of your money. Like, just cut those people off. It is not worth it. To add on to that, people absolutely do not appreciate what they do get for free. One of the very first weddings I shot was, I want to shoot weddings. I have no it was like chicken and the egg situation. No one's hiring me because I haven't shot weddings, but I can't shoot weddings unless people hire me, right? For sure. So I had a friend getting married, and I said, I will shoot your wedding for free, but what I want is this many hours for creative portraits. It can be before, it can be after, it can be in the middle. Just, you have to build that into your day, which they did. It was awesome. So I got the time to do all this, get all the stuff I needed for a good album. But then when I gave them all of the photos afterwards, they made their own edits. They uploaded the worst ones to like Shutterfly and made their own album. And then when I tried to like give them art, they're like, cool, no thanks. And then I just like never talked to them again. And just is like, there was no appreciation or gratitude for giving them thousands of dollars worth of work. And it was just like, oh, and I'm kind of mad about that.
I can't 100% blame people because not everybody knows, actually the vast majority of people are not going to know the intricacies of your business and how difficult it is for you to do the task that you're doing for
nor should they, really.
Nor should they, right?
Yeah.
Nor should they. That's what they're paying you to know and do. But that's why it helps to not necessarily like beat them over the head with like, here's how hard my job is, but communicate.
I hate those posts by photographers who's just like, you want to know why photography is expenses? I have bills. I don't care.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. But if you can at least, you can't make them care, but if you can at least set boundaries, very clear boundaries in writing ahead of time, you can insulate yourself against some of that.
Yeah. The other time that I definitely got bit is I was doing some event photography in exchange for tickets. And they said, well, all of our other volunteers have to work, 20 hours over the weekend to be able to get tickets. I'm like, these like $40 to $60 tickets, I just gave you 8 hours at, let's say, $50 an hour back then.
Yep.
I was like, I just gave you 10 times the amount any other volunteer has given you, and that's not enough. I feel like I have done more than anyone else. Yes, not hours wise, but like this is the rate that I'm valuing my time at. So now I'm giving 5 times as much as everyone else. This makes no sense. And so I thought I had given them more than what we agreed, and they thought I was giving them less than what we agreed because there was no written contract.
Yeah. It's there are varying degrees of how much value the free service or the discounted service is providing. And
don't work for free because otherwise they will value you at 0. There's that.
And as photographers really like to say, you're going to devalue the whole industry if you're working for free. I think that's a little bit melodramatic, but be careful.
It is a little bit melodramatic. Just to add on to that, if it is a family and friends discount, this is someone that you genuinely love, care about, and would like to give a discount to. That is very different than, can I have a discount for exposure or giving you referrals or something? Because guess what? People that are cheap are going to refer you to other cheap people, and you're going to want to bash your head into a wall.
Exactly. If people just want to do it for exposure, the answer is pay me.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, basically, if you're going to do a discount, you have to decide what kind of level this person is on to what kind of discount. Never give more discount than you feel comfortable or happy giving, because if it's going to create any kind of animosity, it's not worth it. Do you have any? And get in a written contract, even if no money is exchanging hands. Just make sure that your expectations are clear.
Yep. And if it's somebody that like you'd feel awkward getting a contract with, at least get it in writing. Please at least get it in writing. But trust me, if there's somebody that you're giving a hefty discount to, likely you know them well enough and you have a good enough relationship that if you say like, hey, I know this is silly that I'm asking you for a contract because we're buds, but can you do this just like, so that I can have it in my paperwork? They're going to have no problem doing that. If somebody is concerned about doing that for you and you're giving them a good discount,
flag.
Be careful. That is a big problem.
Huge red flag.
Anyone should be very thankful and happy to do any little concession like that if you're, really giving them a good service.
Some contracts are very one-sided because they are written to be one-sided. For instance, real estate contracts, they are sided in favor of the agents. They don't care about you. Yep. So look at those contracts with a very kind of hesitant and questioning eye. But most contracts are supposed to protect both parties involved. Yep. So when you're writing a project, you're saying, I'm protecting you, saying I'm going to give you all the things that we agreed to, but I'm also protecting me, saying I'm limiting it to all the things we agreed to. So they should be happy to say, oh, you're going to give me all the things?
Cool. Where do I sign?
Great. Yeah. So this should be a good thing.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. All right. So, Karina, thank you for the question for kicking off this episode. And that is kind of our thoughts on if you should offer friends and families discounts. Just a reminder, we are going to be doing episodes every Tuesday. So
that's when the week really starts anyway.
I know. On Monday, you're waking up, you're catching up on emails. You don't want to listen to a podcast. So look for next Tuesday. What are we going to be talking about next week?
Good question. What are we going to be talking about?
We are going to be talking about how do you handle criticism?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about the criticism, but we don't want to hear any of the criticism. You can send us questions only.
With anything that is not criticism, because our fragile hearts cannot take it.
Praise and questions are only accepted on this podcast.
And where can they send those praise and questions?
hello@photo-op.show.
Excellent. And if you have more praise and questions for us, you can also join our Patreon, patreon.com/nomcreative. Give $1 to the tip jar. It helps keep the mics on. And
financial praise.
Financial praise is the best kind of praise. There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see y'all next week. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@photo-op.show.
Watch us on Ben's YouTube channel at NomCreative.
As in Om Nom Nom.
Share this with a friend, and you can listen to Photo Op anywhere podcasts are sold.
Or download it. 'Cause it's free.